Our pastors have been reminding us that Jesus is the light of the world. Other than alcoholism, other than loneliness, I meant to say, I cannot imagine a more dark place than being addicted to drug or alcohol. This body of Christ here at Cary First United Methodist Church is penetrating the darkness and offering hope through the addiction recovery movement. In your pews, there are plenty of bookmarks for you to read, study, to give away to someone. Take as many as you need. As you leave the service today or the next time you talk with Carl or Heather or one of our other pastors, please convey to them your appreciation for their leadership that has led to the formation of the addiction recovery movement. Their leadership is an act of caring, courage, and compassion. The addiction recovery movement has been formed by members of this congregation. It started in 2018. Now, why am I talking with you? As Carl said, I'm Jack Stone. I've been a member here since 1978. My journey that brings me here this morning to talk with you began December 24th, 1995. That's right, Christmas Eve, 1995. My wife Elena and I were preparing to come to the 11 p.m. Christmas Eve candlelight service. The phone rings, and Elena hears that her brother is dead. He lived in Montgomery, Alabama. He died from a drug overdose, age 40. Suddenly, his wife is without a husband, his 2 children without a father, Elena's parents without their son, and Elena without her brother. Further, I have a family member who's in denial that his alcoholism has contributed to the turmoil in his life. You may know someone affected by the problems associated with alcohol or drug addiction. As the body of Christ, we're called to care for the sick, to bear one another's burdens. The addiction recovery movement has been organized by folks in this church who have been affected. One whose father was an alcoholic, another who lost a son to a drug overdose, another who has a son in recovery now, and yes, former addicts. Simply put, we want to bear one another's burdens and to care for the sick. The addiction recovery movement is underway, and the first recovery group meets every Thursday evening. And they began this week. We're meeting in the log cabin. We call it the New Life Recovery Group. It is led by Karen Deere. Karen, would you stand up so that everyone will know who you are? I invite you to introduce yourself to Karen. She has a remarkable story about God's grace. Karen experienced the light of Jesus Christ in April 2005. This is when her journey in recovery from addiction began. Now she's here, Cary First United Methodist Church, gifted to serve at this place and this time. She recently completed her master's degree in divinity. We will soon be offering a Saturday evening addiction recovery worship service in the log cabin. Another servant in the addiction recovery movement is Al Mooney. Dr. Mooney and his wife Jane usually worship at this service each Sunday. Now today they're in Charleston on a family outing, I understand. Al is a physician. Part of Al's story is he grew up in Statesboro, Georgia, where his father was a prominent surgeon. Al's dad, John Mooney, masked his alcoholism by writing fraudulent prescriptions. Then he was caught and sentenced to prison. And this is where John Mooney began his recovery. You can read about Al's parents, John and Dot Mooney, in a book entitled When Two Loves Collide. So our Al Mooney grew up in a home with 2 alcoholic parents. By God's protection and grace, Al has devoted his life to studying addiction and recovery. And he's written a book. the recovery book. It's known across this nation. Of anyone that's going to work with addiction and recovery, they're going to be using and referencing this book. He's also known in other parts of the world. But he's right here, a member of our church, gifted to serve. Karen Deere and Al Mooney are caring, courageous, and compassionate people. If you do not know Al Mooney, I encourage you to introduce yourself, and I want you to thank him for serving God's kingdom. In your pews, there's a bookmark. I want you to take one. I want you to give it away to someone who needs it. Read that. Someone may need to know there's hope. Also on the half wall over here and in the narthex on Academy Street, there are brochures about the addiction recovery movement. There's contact information, how to email the group. You can telephone the church office in extension 219, and your inquiry will be kept confidential. In addition to reading this bookmark and handing it out to someone in need, what I want you to do is be in prayer. Be in prayer for the individuals who are in our recovery group. Be in prayer for those who need to be in our recovery group. And pray for their family and friends. Jesus is the light of the world. Thanks be to God.